Cholesterol, cholesterol, cholesterol. Hi, how are you at our Heart Health Circle? Welcome, Joel Kahn, cardiologist. Let's spend a couple minutes here in February Heart Month talking about cholesterol because, you've heard about it, you've had it tested, maybe you've been to a health fair, had it tested, or a workplace wellness program, or your formal visits with your medical team. Well, cholesterol is a chemical that was identified decades and decades ago that the body makes. Every mammal, every human makes cholesterol. No plant makes cholesterol. But we do, and we make it for good reasons. We need some cholesterol to support certain vitamins like vitamin D, certain hormones like cortisol, and other hormones that you know about, which are the sex hormones like estrogen and testosterone. Cholesterol is the precursor to making those. So, of course, we need some cholesterol. But some of something isn't always the same as an abundance being good also. And we've learned when I was in training in Dallas, Texas 30 years ago, we were a referral center for children born with a genetic abnormality that caused their cholesterol to be 700, 800, or 1,000. I took care of 9-year-olds that were having open heart bypass surgery. One of the most famous is Stormy Jones. She was a world famous young woman of 11 when she had her open heart bypass. We know cholesterol in excess, particularly LDL cholesterol, can damage arteries and lead to accumulation and plaque. And that's why we check it. Maybe children get it checked once and adults will have it checked. In general, if you can maintain your cholesterol lower on a genetic basis, I mentioned children that inherit a genetic basis to have a super high cholesterol, but there are actually adults and children that inherit a lower cholesterol than average. They actually, in general, live longer, free of stroke and heart attack. So there's so much science, some of which I've contributed to in the literature, that suggests lower, but not absent. We're not talking zero cholesterol. Lower cholesterol is a goal to keep your arteries clean that may relate to freedom from heart disease and brain disease. Okay, real quick primer. We learned first about cholesterol, but then very soon in the 1950s, we realized by spinning blood down, there were different kinds of fats in the blood. And the density of the fats was what was separated by spinning them down in a centrifuge. So you've heard of LDL, low density lipoprotein carrying cholesterol. You've heard of HDL, high density lipoprotein carrying cholesterol. So studies like the Framingham study led us to understand that in general, an elevated LDL cholesterol, which is drawn on routine samples, actually it is calculated from other blood tests that are being done, an elevated LDL cholesterol is associated as a risk for an increased risk of heart attack and stroke. A lower LDL cholesterol is associated with a lower risk of heart attack and stroke. And the opposite was shown in this famous Framingham, Massachusetts study, the Framingham Heart Study, about HDL, the high density. We often call it the happy cholesterol. The higher the blood levels of HDL cholesterol, the protection that seemed to be present. And if you're running a low HDL blood level, you may be at more risk. Now, that data came in the 60s and 70s, and we haven't changed the idea one iota about LDL cholesterol. Again, L sometimes interpreted as the lousy cholesterol, low density lipoprotein cholesterol. In fact, just in late 2019, something called the European Atherosclerosis Society, EAS, very prestigious group of scientists, came out that without any doubt, LDL cholesterol causes heart disease. Lower LDL cholesterol is a strategy to prevent heart disease. There really isn't any disagreement amongst worldwide scientists. HDL, there's a little disagreement. It's not as black and white as it used to be. And unfortunately, I have a whole practice full of women with very high HDL. I thought it was the protective cholesterol levels, but they still have heart disease. So we're doing more work on HDL. The bottom line for Heart Month, if it's been a while since you had your cholesterol done, get it checked. We don't even require it be a fasting blood sample anymore. We've learned that it doesn't really matter whether you do it in a fasting state or whether you do it in a non-fasting state, because you're probably eating 1, 2, 3 meals a day, where most of your day is a post-meal blood sample, and that's really what we want to see. So the American Medical Association, for example, said it's kind of passé now to demand that you always be fasting for routine blood tests. So get it checked, find out the results, ask your doctor, what does this all mean, LDL, HDL? We can talk another time about triglycerides and such. And then work on it with whole food, plant diets, free of processed foods. Get on the some good sleep at night, and you'll see that number hopefully come down. And very often, just lifestyle can lower cholesterol 100 milligrams per deciliter. I see that in my practice a lot. Have a great heart month. And if you're looking for those lifestyle tips that can help you gain control over your numbers and your cholesterol numbers, join my Heart Health Circle, and you can find the link on this website. Thank you.